Sergio Espinosa. How are you?
Fine, thank you very much. Very happy to be here. Thank you very much.
Thank you for being my guest here because we have a lot of discussion to have. Well, it is Hispanic Heritage Month, and so that will be,
Yes.
the root of our discussion
Yes.
today. But also, I want to hear what you're doing with the new Philharmonia Orchestra, where you've led since 2007. Is that
Oh,
right?
oh,
The
yes, yes.
new Philharmonic.
Well, I don't know, many years, many years. Yes, probably you're right. You probably are more precise with your dates than my memory. But yes, what we're doing? We are about to start rehearsals for our first concert, which is a family concert, meaning Peter and the Wolf has to be there. We are
Awesome.
going to do Harry Potter suite, great music. Harry Potter suite. We are going to do the Dance Macabre. I don't know how to say it in English. Sansans, the Danza Macabre.
It sounds great how you say it. I may adopt the
Oh,
way that you're saying it onto the air. I think I might sound
yeah.
better.
Yes, and we are doing, and to open, we are doing Brahms Hungarian dances. So it's for the kids. It's not a long program. We are, as always, targeting the young audiences. Yeah, that's what we have to start with.
Well, tell me about the orchestra in general. For our listeners who aren't familiar, maybe with the new Philharmonic Orchestra of Irving, what is this group
Well,
like?
it is an orchestra. It's a full symphonic orchestra, meaning we have all the brass. In music, when we talk music, we say four horns, three trumpets, three trombones, one tuba, all the woodwinds. We have strings, we have percussion. So it's a full symphonic orchestra, which allows to play the large repertoire. By that I mean Brahms, I mean Ravel, I mean Mussorgsky, I mean Wagner. It's a large orchestra. We play our concerts on Sundays at 3 p.m. because we are targeting families. We know
Mm.
that 8 p.m. on Fridays or Saturdays is a great time to play concerts, but we understand that families cannot bring the kids. So we made that change, I don't know, 10 years ago, and we're targeting that group. Our repertoire, as I mentioned before, it's a large repertoire. Beethoven symphonies, Haydn symphonies, Schubert, Brahms, Schumann. Yes, yes, this is an orchestra. And since you are talking about the heritage, Hispanic Heritage Month, I would say that when I came, we had probably a 1% of Hispanic players. Now I don't have data, but I would estimate it to be around 7, maybe 10%, maybe more, which makes that sometimes in rehearsals I need to be careful what I say in Spanish because I know that there's some players that are going to listen to that and they're going to say, Maestro, what are you saying? So now I'm more careful on those things. Yes, yes.
Oh, well, that's great. And I definitely want to talk with you about the growth of Hispanic players in North Texas because that is something that's been constantly growing for a long, long time. Uh, it, let's talk more, about you though, before we get into that, because I want to
Uh-huh.
hear about your journey to North Texas, your journey to leading and teaching where you are now.
Yes, well, I am Mexican. I was born in Mexico and I began my formal music studies in Mexico at the University of Mexico, but I didn't come to United States through Mexico. What I mean is that at some point in my life, I went to study to Switzerland, so I obtained my violin degree in Switzerland. I'm a violinist. And then I worked in Spain for several years. And while I was in Spain, I had students, string students, violin students. And my students one day they asked me, "Why don't we do a student orchestra?" Sure, get a couple of cellos, get a couple of violas, and we do an orchestra. And we started doing. I was more an educator than a conductor, but after sometimes one day I received a phone call saying, "Hey, we need a conductor. Can you come?" I said, "I'm not a conductor. I'm a violinist." A second call like that, and the same. I'm not a conductor, I'm a violinist. So when three calls came, I decided I would like to study conducting formally. And United States is something that I want to study. So I came, I did my master's in conducting at Ithaca College and did my doctoral degree in University of Iowa, doctoral degree in conducting. So I became a conductor at that time. And I came to Texas because I was looking for a place where my daughters could speak Spanish in the, in the
Hmm.
park, something like that. And I found it here. So I kept my daughters bilingual, Spanish, English, because of the Metroplex, that the Metroplex offers that cosmopolitan ambience. That's the way I came to Texas.
Mm. I love that your mind seems to be, so deeply rooted in education, and that seems to be a passion of yours. I don't think that that's unique to you, though. I think throughout history, we've seen all of our favorite Mexican composers, Chavez, Revueltas, Moncayo, Galindo, they're all interested in education too. Is there something specifically about Latino music culture that is inherently about education too?
I think it's a little bit the situation. Often a composer, especially composers, it's rare that you have a composer that is independent, unless he's very, very, very famous and can live of his compositions. Often they begin their careers in universities, so being the
Mm.
faculty of composition, composing and teaching, and they stay. Even when
Hmm.
could not be university professors, could afford that, they stay. Why? Because students are a source of rejuvenating. It's a source of freshness. My students keep me young. It's difficult, but they're trying and they sometimes succeed. They keep me young. They teach me so many things. Just to give a silly anecdote, I didn't have Facebook, and one of my students said one day, "No, no, no, you cannot live life like this. Sit in your computer. I'm going to open a Facebook for you." He opened a Facebook for me. He taught me how to do that. So it's this presence of students that help us to stay with that. Why Latin Americans? I don't know. I don't know, but through the history, yes, yes, you're right. For instance, Moncayo had so many students. Calendario Huiza. If you take prominent composers or conductors in Mexico, you can go back and trace them to far, I don't know, 50, 60, 70, 80 years, a line that comes
Hmm.
from there. Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well, let's talk about your students again specifically because, well, you mentioned that your orchestra is growing with Hispanic players.
Yes.
Your student body, tell me about that too. Are you seeing more and more
Indeed,
Latino?
indeed, we are. Let me just to tell you, one of my former conducting students, Raquel, she's Rachel. I call her Raquel, and she speaks Spanish. And sometimes I try not to, but sometimes I find myself speaking in Spanish to her. And um, great conductor. She's now working in Plano High School. She's conducting there. Latino roots. Yes, yes, that's one, and I can name several others. As I was saying, our first cello, he speaks very well Spanish. He's from El Paso, our principal cello. So, uh, why that? Well, this is anecdotal, and is I cannot demonstrate this with data. But what I have observed is that many of these students come through music through mariachi. Let me try to explain this. Many
Mm.
of them have seen their parents, their family playing mariachi, listening mariachi. They get into mariachis in high school, some of them. And mariachis, by the way, in Texas, they are formidable. They are great, excellent groups.
Hmm.
And from there, they expand, they start exploring. So they get into the classical music, or they do that parallel. Or principal second violin in the orchestra, Karen Gerardo, she came through mariachi. Well, she had a great school. She had one of the greatest teachers in the Metroplex, Mary Alice Rich. So she had an excellent violin technique, but she knows the world of mariachi
Mm.
to the point that she's principal second violin in an orchestra, but also teaches at Booker T. Washington, the mariachi group. So
Wow.
it's a combination very strange, and that enriches us because when we play Latin American music that comes, Mexican music that has mariachi influences, she's the boss. She's the boss. She really can organize things.
Well, tell me about the advantages and disadvantages of having that path into classical music because I've heard before, Hispanic students, they never struggle with rhythm, things like
At
that.
all,
But,
at all.
but
The sound could be the quality.
yes.
The sound could be quality because often when you play mariachi, you are in open spaces and you need to make a sound that needs to be big not necessarily polished, completely polished. And that
Mm,
is something I observed that from people that come from the mariachi, string players that come from the mariachi world. Sometimes the quality of the sound is not what a symphonic orchestra needs. But they learn that very quickly and they
hmm
adapt and they understand, okay, now I'm playing Mozart is not the same than playing mariachi. So I need to be careful. I need to
mm.
modify my style. They do. And if not, that's where the conductor comes in and the conductor tells them, hey, let's talk a little bit. Let's talk a little bit.
Well, you and I are both string players. Talk to me about the brass, though, because the brass mariachi is much different.
Yes, absolutely right. Sometimes when we play, there's one piece you're familiar with that. Sones de Mariachi by Blas Galindo is a piece
Hmm
that is imitating the style of mariachi in symphonic work.
hmm
Or Huapango Moncayo, a very favorite from our audience.
Yeah.
Or solo, when I have solos, I need to tell to my brass, to my trumpets, say, yes, it's beautiful. Brahms would love your solo, but we're not playing Brahms. We're playing mariachi here.
Yeah.
Switch your mind, move to the brass, make it more brassy, make it more brilliant, make it more soloist in the sense that, as I was mentioning before, not Brahms solo, not Mahler solo, but mariachi solo. And again, that works. They are at the beginning shy because they are used to this careful, rounded sound. But once
hmm
that you explain them, that comes. That comes. Yeah, a little bit of that.
Well, let's talk about the rest of the globe because you're a bit of a globe trotter too. Like you said, you've been all throughout Europe. You've taught in Asia too. I wanna. We were talking a little bit earlier about, this Hispanic culture spreading across the globe. These incredible Japanese cumbia bands that we've seen videos of. The Asian Chicano culture. Are you seeing a global acceptance or even an understanding of Latin classical music?
Yes, I think Latin music, as you mentioned earlier, the rhythm is a quality very important, and I think the rhythm is very attractive. Young people, which listen to pop music in general, you have a tremendous percussion, and now with the electronic percussion, you have rhythms very, very sophisticated. Maybe that's the reason why cumbias, why salsa, it's
Mm,
appealing to groups. And I must say something as a compliment to some Asian countries. And again, this is a compliment. They know how to copy and they do it very well. And
mm,
sometimes the other day I was talking to my wife, I was showing to my wife, hey, listen to this. A girl singing cumbias, I believe she was Japanese, singing with perfect diction, impossible to know that she was not a native speaker, doing so well. I was kind of jealous in the good sense. I was jealous of their capabilities, their dedication. This is not easy. They invest time, they invest energy, and the results are formidable. Yes, I'm
mm.
impressed. I'm impressed, certainly.
Well, what do you see then as the future of Hispanic music in general, just across the globe and here locally?
Well, certainly it's going to grow. Certainly it's going to grow. There's going to be many fusions,
Mm,
experiments. There are experiments of how does that fit with this or that. There's going to be
hmm
many experiments. Some of them are going to be discarded. Some of them are going to be successful. Some of
mm,
them are going to get their moment, and then if a new style, new genre emerges and is successful, is going to create another series of evolutions. Um, do I tell my age to the audience? Yes, I'm going to tell my age. I'm still 65 for a week or so. I'm 65, which
Oh,
means
wow.
which means that I saw music when many of your audience were not yet born, and I have seen an evolution. And in my time, which yes, 65, but when we consider the history of the music, that's nothing. 65 is nothing. Well, my argument is that in 65 years, let's say 50, because the first 15 I was not very clear. In 50 years, I've seen a tremendous evolution. Maybe due to computers, maybe due to internet, maybe due to the availability of sources of styles. And I don't see how this is going to be stopped. It's
Mm,
very interesting. Future generations will have a lot of things. to work with, a lot of elements, and I'm sure they're going to produce wonderful things.
Well, what can you do to help that specifically in the realm of education and conducting?
Okay, I always try to, okay, yes. What is the risk? That the student comes to me and say, hey, look what I produce. Isn't that wonderful? And I tell them, yes, why don't you check what Schoenberg was doing? Why don't you check what Bieber in the Middle Age was doing? Sorry, in the early Baroque was doing. So sometimes history is important.
Mm,
To know what has been done, what experiments were produced, to know how to build upon. Sometimes, because of the amount of genres available, sometimes our students do not get that historical perspective. And that's what I would say, research, research,
mm,
research. That would be my advice for future composers, future experimenters of music.
mm. Well, help me with my job. What can I do from a radio perspective?
Well, I will say it. I will say it, but I'm going to make a disclaimer that we didn't prepare this. This is honest. We had our first contact year ago, 2 years
Hmm.
ago, and I have seen the evolution on your programming, which you are the person there. And well, probably I am biased. Sorry about this, but I think I like it. I like it because you're challenging your audience with new ideas and say, let's take a snippet of this. Let's see what happens. Here's this composition. So you're challenging us, you're daring us. Personally, I'm taking the challenge and I'm loving it. So I think you're doing what you need to be doing to offer us what we like, but expose us to other things that maybe we are going to like. And if we don't like them, at least we're going to understand or at least get a better perspective.
Hmm. Well, you can tell me anytime you don't like something that you hear. I'm open to your
No, no, no,
feedback and
no, no, no. That's part of the price. And some things I will not like, but that's good because that's part of your role. I think that's the way I see it. I'm not going to tell you your role. You do it very well. I'm just observing.
well, thank you. Thank you for the conversation. Thank you for everything that you're doing for classical music in North Texas to move our culture forward, not just the Hispanic culture, but the classical music culture in general. I appreciate the work
Absolutely,
that you're doing.
absolutely. And I thank you very much. And I say hello to your audience and wish them a very good next listening to your music.
Have a happy birthday.
Thank you very much. Bye bye.
Bye bye.